Hi everybody, very welcome to this extremely spontaneous live stream. I hope you're all doing absolutely fantastic, all of you out there. So, the reason that I'm doing this basically is that I surprisingly had a little bit of time over. My entire family went to bed really early, so I thought, why not take the opportunity to do a live stream. And I also wanted to show those who has the Mentour Aviation application that there are some significant benefits of having that one. Namely, I will be able to send out a push notification when these opportunities arises, so that all of you who has the Mentour Aviation application and have put the notifications on, you would have gotten this notification, which means that you're hopefully here and can chat a little bit about aviation with me. I also want to take this opportunity, guys, to say a huge thank you to my supporters on Patreon. You guys, you know who you are. You're extremely important to the channel. I do some hangouts, like some Skype calls and some Google Hangouts with my patrons when I have the chance, and it's absolutely lovely. All right, guys. So if you're sitting out there now thinking, how can I keep this channel going? How can I keep this channel growing and stuff? Then consider going into patreon.com and just look for Mentor Pilot and you'll find me there, and you can support with as little or as much as you like, but you will be part of my Patreon crew, which is extremely appreciated. Right, let's see who we have here. Marius Helland, you're always here. Good to see you here, guys. It's great to have you here, Marius. You've been with me for a long time, and it's really appreciated. Ben Stewart, good to see you as well. Kaya, Amir, surprising amount of people who's turning up actually, which is great to see. So, what should we be talking about today? You might have noticed that I have just released a new playlist on the app about how to fly Cat 3 approaches. Those of you who have my Mentor 360 app, you would have already seen that video. It's actually from the Mentor 360 app. But if you have any questions about Cat 3s, if you've just gotten the playlist, for example, or you want to know more about it, then feel free to ask me. Also use the chat function here on YouTube, or the chat function on my app, or the super chat if you want to help out and support the channel. So let's see, the first question here from Barrett. What is your opinion on BBVA withdrawing loans, leaving aspiring pilots worried that they will not be able to start a training due to the financial commitment? Do you have any solutions or ideas? Solutions I don't have. I just recently heard that they have started to retract this, but as far as I'm aware, I think they're still doing these loans. Okay, I'm not 100% sure about this, but there was a discussion inside of the Mentor Aviation chat earlier on, I think yesterday, and there were people in there saying that BBVA are still doing these loans to a certain amount. So don't take everything you hear for granted. Check it out. But if not, there are other ways of financing as well. Now, I don't have the solution myself, unfortunately. I really wish I had, and I have been thinking recently about what we could do, what you and I could do to make it easier for people to get the financial means to do pilot training. I have some ideas. We'll see what happens with them in the future. It all depends on how big this channel becomes and how how much impact that you and me can have on the industry. Kennedy, Dick, do Ryanair have part-timers? What's the minimum time you can work? I want to eventually do as the Dutch King does and work a little bit on the side for my main profession. Yeah. Now Ryanair, they have loads of different contracts available as far as I know. There are part-time available, primarily for people who have kids and families. Normally it's going to be 50%. So if you work at 50%, you'll get 50% of your basic pay, and you will work on a 5-4 roster, basically being off 13 days, then working 5, then being off another 13 days. So that is possible to do. However, to get a deal like Dutch King did is likely to be quite hard to get, okay? Because most airlines, they want to employ you to fly their aircraft. And if you're not interested in flying that much, unless you have a lot of experience, maybe you're an instructor, an examiner, or you're getting up in age, it's unlikely that they're going to give you something like the Dutch King did. All right, that's just my own opinion. Brandon Nissen, thank you very much. Thank you, Brandon. Just went into the super chat and supported the channel a little bit. It's excellent to see. A7X, how many languages do you speak? Well, I speak English fluently, Swedish fluently, all of the Nordic countries, you know, those languages are fairly similar, so I could probably speak those. Spanish, you know, so and so. I will get by. I wouldn't starve to death in Spain, but not as good as I would like to. After having lived there in 3.5 years, I'm actually a little bit ashamed that I don't speak better. But that's mainly because where I live in Catalonia, they don't speak that much Castellano. They speak mostly Catalan, and I'm understanding Catalan. I'm not speaking it that well. But since I'm not going to subject it to the Spanish as much as I would have hoped, I'm not speaking it as well either. But I am working on that. Have you been to Gdansk recently? I think I've heard you on Live ATC. I haven't been to Gdansk for a while now, actually. It was a long time since I went to Gdansk. So you probably heard someone else. If I'm German, no, I'm Swedish. Swedish, living in Spain, or in Catalonia, I should say. Um, right. Who decide what kind of approach you fly, for example, a Cat 3? Well, that is based on the weather. Okay, so we always try to fly Cat 1 if we can. There's a number of reasons for that. It is, basically a Cat 3 approach, which is an autoland, will use more runway than a normal Cat 1 does, because the autoland, when the aircraft lands itself, it starts to flare at about 50 feet. Which means that the flare gets longer and it adds about 140 meters onto the landing distance. So we want to always try to have as little landing or use as little landing distance as possible. And in that case, it's better to land the aircraft ourselves. So we try to fly a Cat 1 if the weather permits, and we would only fly a Cat 2 or Cat 3 if it's needed for operational reasons. For example, the visibility drops below it's the standard 550 meters of runway visual range. Apart from that, we fly non-precision approaches when we have to, but we always try to find the most safe approach to fly, and a Cat 1 ILS tends to be that. Are you going to be flying the new Boeing 737 MAX? I certainly hope so. It looks like a fantastic aircraft. I actually have a friend of mine who's working testing it out in Seattle, and according to him, it's a great aircraft. So I would love to get my hands on one of those babies. What to expect in the Wombat test? I haven't actually heard that acronym before, but I'm guessing it's similar to the pilot aptitude tests that we do in Europe. What you can expect is some mathematical exercises, some stress test exercises showing that you can do, for example, multiple things on the time. It's likely that you'll get to have one thing that you need to do on time while you have to do something else at different time intervals, while you have to keep track of something else that might be moving on the screen, something like that. Basically, they will be trying to overload you with stuff, and you have to keep a clear mind, try to find some kind of way to control all of it and do it just as good as you can. And on top of that, there will be the standard aptitude tests that you'll get if you just Google pilot aptitude testing. You will find loads of those on the internet that you can just practice on. They will be about spatial awareness, about completing a series of finding a pattern in a series of different pictures, for example, and things like that. So I don't know exactly what the Wombat test is, but I'm guessing it's going to be similar. I was going to be a pilot until the regional pay is 20k a year. Right, I don't know if that's the question. I know that the regionals in the US are actually starting to pay better now because they're having problems as expected. Remember when I did a video about the pilot shortage and I talked about the regional airlines and the way that the American market is impacted by the 1500 hour rule? Well, what's happening now is just like you're mentioning, that the pay has gone down for several years, together with the fact that you need 1500 hours, plus that you need to pay for your training. That has made it less attractive to become a pilot in the States. And what happens then is that less people train, and obviously the airlines, they still need their pilots. So the only way for them to get pilots are to increase the pay, and that's what we're seeing happening now. So I am guessing that the terms and conditions in the States are going to increase over the next coming years. Why should you switch off the packs before the takeoff roll? Well, you shouldn't switch off the packs before the takeoff roll. There is something called bleeds off takeoff, but the packs will still be on for that. They will just be fed by the APU instead. And we would use, bleed soft takeoff is something you would do when you want to get the maximum effect out of the engines, because the bleed air for the air conditioning are actually taken from the engines, and by taking some of that bleed air, it's actually reducing the engine thrust a bit. So if we have a really short runway, for example, we might want to use all of the power that's available. In that case, we do something called a bleed soft takeoff, and that is done by turning off the bleeds in a very controlled manner, but the packs will still be operating, fed by the auxiliary power unit from the back. Hi, Craig. Hi from Spain. Have you ever flown a glider? Yes, I have flown a glider, but I haven't got the gliding certificate. I've just been out with some friends doing gliding. It's a fantastic pastime. It's a beautiful way of learning about aerodynamics, and about meteorology, just to get a good feeling about flying, which this is really all about, guys. Right, I'm going to take some questions off the app chat to see if there's anyone in here. What do you think about Hispanic pilots? Great. I've flown with loads of people, especially from South America. They tend to be very good operators, as in they have good handling skills. They tend also to have a little bit problems of getting used to our very stringent SOPs, because I get a feeling that the SOPs in some of the South American airlines are not as evolved or as detailed as the ones that we have. But hands-on, stick and rudder, tend to be very, very skilled. Is it easy for an Hispanic to get into the business? Yeah, it's depending on what you mean. If you're, I don't know exactly how the airline market is in like South America, Central America, and so on, which tends to be the bigger Hispanic areas. But there's nothing in the fact of you being Hispanic that is going to stop you from, or getting you a smaller chance of becoming a pilot. Frode Pil, any tips on readback messages and communications in general with ATC for a pilot student? Yeah. First of all, your ATC is not going to get better unless you practice, okay? And you can do this in several ways. I would suggest that you get yourself some kind of radio that you can listen to air traffic control, or if you could do it via live ATC, to just get used to the lingo. In the beginning, that's the big problem, okay? It sounds like gibberish because you're not used to what you don't know what you're expecting to hear. And when that's the case, then you're going to have to concentrate a lot of your energy on listening to ATC. But of course, you're going to be flying the aircraft at the same time. So the more you listen to ATC, the more you're going to be used to it. Of course, you have to study like the phraseology and stuff at the same time, so you understand what it is that you're listening to. That's also important. But when you do, then you're going to have to, keep working on it. Work more and more, because it's not going to come by itself. And after a while, you will find that just like with riding a bike, it becomes easier and easier and easier. If you tense up, if you're really nervous, when you think that everyone is listening to you when you're pressing that transmit switch, then it's going to be much harder. But if you realize that air traffic control is there to help you, if you follow the phraseology that you're supposed to be using, they will try to help you out. And if you say something wrong, that's not going to be the end of the world. And no one on the other side is going to sit there and listen and laugh at you, okay? Everyone has been there. We've all been students in the beginning. So just take a deep breath, relax, and do your best, So that's my tips for you. Relax a little bit, but also practice, and practice a lot, because there's no ways around it, really. So we're talking a little bit about the 1500 hour requirement. So the 1500 hour requirement is unique to the United States, all right? So 1500 in Europe is needed to get an ATPL, okay, an airline transport pilot license. And that is what the pilot license you need in order to be a captain in Europe, or in the whole world. But in Europe, you can actually join an airline with only a CPL, which is what you'll get after you finish your integrated course with about 200 hours. All right, there's nothing in Europe stopping you from doing that. And this is the difference between flying under the FAA in the States and flying in Europe and the rest of the world, actually, at the moment. They have put this hurdle in because they had, there was a few accidents, but one main accident where I can't remember if it was a dash they flew. I think it was in Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken, where the crew got into icing conditions and basically stalled the aircraft. And it was deemed as part of the report that it was due to poor training and poor experience by the pilots. Now, the strange thing here is that both of those pilots had well more than 1,500 hours. So the 1,500 hours is kind of arbitrary. I don't really know where they got that from or how they're motivating it. But it's there at the moment. You need to have 1,500 hours in order to fly for an airline, and that is making it, much harder to to achieve those hours to actually get into the industry in the States, which has hurt the American industry quite badly. But I do know that Congress is discussing possibly changing some of those requirements. And I also know that if you go and do your training through some of the universities, the aviation universities in the States, that is actually that can actually reduce the amount of hours you need. Evgeny Zitzer, thank you very much for supporting the channel. He's gone in and used the super chat and supported, which is fantastic. I see that you don't have a question, which means that it's possible that the question didn't work. And if that's the case, if you just send me a private message on my Facebook, which I hope all of you guys are checking out, by the way, then I will answer your question there. Thank you very much. Alfred Wikström in the Mentour Aviation chat. Hi Petter, a technical question that has been on my mind for a very long time. What's the procedure if you're given a waypoint from ATC? Given a waypoint from ATC that is deviating from your flight plan. Do you fly it with a heading on the autopilot, or do you input it into the FMC? And if you do, how do you do that? Good question. So this happens from time to time. ATC might be giving you a waypoint, an FMC waypoint, because they want to give you a shortcut and it might not be on flight plan. Or there might be a military area that just becomes active, and ATC will normally utilize FMC waypoints to kind of direct traffics away from that military area for a short amount of time, and that will probably not be in your repetitive flight plan. Okay, the way we do that is that we input them to the FMC. If we don't know how it's spelled, the waypoint, we just ask ATC to spell it for us. So it might be go direct to Indol, so India November Delta Oscar Lima. We'll put that into the FMC, put it at the top, check in the navigation display that the aircraft is actually flying somewhere which looks reasonable. And if that's the case, we just execute that, so the aircraft starts flying towards that waypoint, and then we ask ATC to confirm what the waypoint is after this new waypoint, since it's not in the flight plan. And it most likely it's going to be taking us back onto the route with the airways that we had after that. And if not, then we just keep asking them. As we're getting closer to the waypoint, we keep asking them, so what's the next one waypoint, making sure that we always know where we're going. Because if we don't input a waypoint, it's going to be a route discontinuity in there, and the FMC will tell us approaching route discontinuity. So I hope that answers your question. So hello, what do you think about your wife? How many women did you have in the past? Is she a strong woman? You're all the time at work. Definitely hope you understand that I do mean height, life, and children and so on. I'd love to have her here to hear me answer that question. My wife is a fantastic woman. She's very strong. But the thing with me is that I'm not away all the time. You know, that this is probably what makes me a little bit different from some of the long haul pilots that you might have heard from and so on. I'm home almost every day. Like I'm working 4 days a week and I'm off 3 days a week. So I'm working Monday to Thursday. I'm off Friday, Saturday, Sunday every single week. And I work either earliest 2 or 4 sectors or late 2 or 4 sectors. So I'm either home in the morning or home in the evening. So it's very, very similar to a 9-to-5 job in my case. But I know that's not the case in all of the industry. I consider myself very lucky. I'm only away for about maybe a week a month, less than that, 4 days a month, where I do my simulator duty. But my wife is a fantastic woman, and she takes very good care of, all the house, all the kids, all of that. When I'm home, I'm obviously doing that as well. Okay, Jordan Rankin. Hi, I have a question. How do pilots check the temperature of the brake? So some aircraft, they have brake temperature indicators. Okay, so you can actually go in and you can see exactly what the brake temperature is. We don't have that. We have steel brakes, okay, and what we do then is that we know what the weight of the aircraft is, we know what the outside temperature is, we know what kind of auto brake setting we're using. So we go into a brake cooling table and we check, for example, that we're landing with 62 tons and it's 30 degrees outside. We go in and we check providing that we use auto brake 3, what kind of brake cooling is going to be needed? In most cases, it's not going to be much, right? But if we do a really hard braking, for example, then we might have to go in and check that again, and might have to wait, extend the turnaround time to let the brakes cool down to be safe to use. Right, more questions. So there's loads of people coming into the chat now, both in the Mentour Aviation chat. By the way, the Mentour Aviation chat is going to be upgraded tomorrow. Okay, I have just received clearance from Apple. Apple have just approved the upgrade, so now we just have to implement it, and we have to migrate the chat over to the new chat. So tomorrow, probably during the morning, the new upgrade will be up, and you will all need to upgrade or update your apps. Okay, otherwise you won't be able to use the chat. So, and I really hope that you're gonna like this one. You can start a conversation with someone. Just remember their nickname, and if you want them to answer and they haven't answered, you just put Alpha in their nickname, and they're going to get a notification on their app so that they can respond to you back. Right, more questions, guys. Joel Kupari, could you make a video where you explain the basics of ATC communication? And 3 Kronor versus Finland tomorrow. Go Sweden. All right. Yes. I'm thinking about how to do that in a good way, right? What I am going to do, and what I'm actually preparing right now, is I'm going to do a video about ATIS. You know that message that you get, the terminal forecast that you get, or the terminal information. That one I'm going to. One of my next videos are going to be about how to decode an ATIS. All right, what it says, what it means, things like that, and then. Actual ATC communication is a little bit hard to make a video when you're just sitting by yourself. So I'll see what I can come up with. If I can do it in a good way, I will definitely do that. So why do the cabin lights get dimmed before takeoff and landing at night? Great question. It's probably one of the more common asked questions, which I'm probably going to do a video about, a short one actually. Right. If you think about it, when it comes to aviation, everything is about safety. So all of the procedures that you see and you think, well, why are they doing that? It's always based on safety. Now, if you think about how we think about a takeoff and landing from a security point of view, there's always a slight risk that something happens during the takeoff or during the landing which requires us to evacuate the aircraft. Okay. Now, if you've been sitting inside of a really bright room and then you decide to get out into the black night, the first couple of seconds when you get outside, you will not see anything, right? And that's because it takes a while for your eyes to adapt and adapt to the darkness. This time is crucial. We need to be able to evacuate the aircraft in 90 seconds, maximum 90 seconds. Okay. Now, if everyone that comes out into the and jumps down the slide kind of stands up and says, "Oh, where am I?" It's going to start piling up. All right. So the simple answer to the question is that we do that to adapt your eyes. So in case of an emergency evacuation of some sort, you will see and you'll be able to run away from the aircraft as soon as you get out. It's not harder than that. That's why we do it. Twitch. Go, I see you have a question. Guys, as always, if you really want me to answer a question, use the super chat function because that pops up. I see it in big, bright colors. So I guarantee you that I will be answering your questions if you use the super chat, and you will also be supporting the channel, which is greatly appreciated. Is it possible to barrel roll a 737 without inverted flight tanks? And have you ever flown into Birmingham? Yes, you can barrel roll a 737, however you will lose some altitude. It's not built for barrel rolling or for aerobatics of any sort, but yes, it can be done because you have fuel pumps. And the pumps will be pumping fuel still. A barrel roll, you should be maintaining 1G anyway, so the fuel shouldn't be slushing over anyway. So that should be okay. And I have flown into Birmingham, I think, once when I diverted from Stansted, but I don't fly there very often. Clint Gibson. So there we go. Shadows Vani, thank you very much. I see that you also have contributed without a question. So I'm guessing that the question didn't work. And if that's the case, then just go into Facebook and write me the question, and I promise you that I will answer it for you. Okay. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. It's greatly appreciated. MD Shara, what should I do in my interview? Guys, would you be interested in some kind of coaching, like interview coaching, or just mental kind of preparation and stuff for interviews and things like that? Because this is something, I'm constantly thinking about ways to help the community out, and possibly do something that is connected to maybe my Mentor 360 website, something like that. There was a lot of yeses there. Because this is something that can be done. Now, obviously, as I'm sure that you understand, I am spending an exorbitant amount of time on both the YouTube channel and the apps and these live streams and things like this. So something like that will take a little bit of time, would come with a cost. But if you guys would be interested in me trying to set something like that up, maybe I can involve some of my other friends that are actually in the recruitment part of aviation, and we'll see if we can do something that could possibly help you out. I know I've been talking about aptitude testing. Now, would it be an interest in doing things like preparations for aptitude testing, or even aptitude testing itself, for you to get some kind of indication if you are suitable or not to go into this profession? Just write yes in that case, and we'll see how many yeses I can get up here. 1000%, yes. Okay, right. Like, this is something that I would actually be interested in doing, because yeah, okay, I kind of get the point. All right, I will see what I can do. Okay, because this is something that I think I could do quite well, and I also think that you guys would probably benefit from. So we'll see what we can come up with. It's likely to be a project that will come in at some time, because I need to contact some friends and see what we can do. Because if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it well. You know me by now. That's how I operate. Jordan Rankin, you're not interested in it. Okay. My Facebook username. Well, if you just go in and search for Mentor Pilot, then you'll find my page, Mentor Pilot page, and there you can just send a message, and I will answer your question there, Sheros. So Mentor Pilot, basically. What country is the biggest airport hub in the world? I mean, the biggest the ones that have the most air traffic by far is the United States. After that, it's probably somewhere between UK and Germany. Well, and the Asian countries are coming quickly as well. So more questions here. Will you answer though? Did you ever take off with wind shear? How was the experience? No. I have had wind shear warning on landing once. I have not had wind shear on actual wind shear warning on takeoff, which I'm happy for. Basically, we try to avoid taking off when there's any risk for wind shears. That includes when there's a lot of cumulonimbus, like thunderstorm activity around the airport and stuff. We'd rather wait until the storm has moved away than taking off and risking getting into a wind shear. Charlie O'Grady, I love Australia as well. I've been to Australia. I went to Sydney. I went up along the Gold Coast, up to Fraser Island. It's a beautiful country. I'd love to come back there. And once again, guys, like I've been saying now for a while, if you guys know of any training organization or something that want me to pop by and maybe talk to the students or do something like that, I would love to do that. I would love to go out and travel more. So, just tell your if you are a flight school and you're watching this, you know it, or if you're a student at flight school, you can suggest it, because these live streams are great. It's great to interact with you like this, but it's even better to interact kind of eye to eye. Cool. Let's see, more questions. I'll take some from the Mentor Aviation chat, which is going to look significantly different. Well, it won't look that much different, but the functionalities will be much different tomorrow. Joel Kopari, once again, if you could choose, what plane would you like to fly? Any plane from the Wright brothers to this day? Ah, and then he's saying something. Go Finland. I don't know what he means by that. Probably has something to do with ice hockey, and in that case, it's more like go Sweden than go Finland. Any plane I would like to fly, I would love to have flown the Concorde. There's no question about that. The Concorde is such a beautiful piece of technology. Any airline pilot would have loved to get their hands on the Concorde, no question about it. On top of that, I would like to fly the 747 before it's phased out. I would like to, get my hands on the newer aircrafts as well. 787, the Airbus 350, all of those would be lovely. I mean, basically, I'm an aviation nerd. I would like to try anything that is new and exciting. And also, I've been flying the Boeing for 15 years now, so I would love to try the Airbus technology to see what all the fuss is about, basically. Shalom, Mentor, what is your longest flight and which route was it? So I've mentioned this in previous podcasts as well. The longest flight I've ever done, and the only long haul flight so far in my career, was a flight from Seattle to Dublin. I was delivering a brand new 737 from the factory, and that took 10 hours, which is almost, it is the limit of what the 737 can do. We had completely full tanks, and we landed with 3 tons in Dublin, which is, about 500, 600 kilos more than diversion fuel, which is perfect. Right, cool. More questions. I'm not going to go doing this for much longer because I feel my eyes are getting a little bit tired, and I should probably go up and go to sleep as well because I'm getting up fairly early tomorrow morning. What was the shortest route you've flown? Well, I've flown between Stansted and Luton, which is basically you can see one tower from the other tower. So that is short enough, 10 minutes, something like that. Will having an aircraft engineering license benefit you in becoming a pilot? It will benefit you in the sense that you will have knowledge that is going to greatly benefit both your technical situational awareness, your technical interview, obviously, things like that. And whether or not it's going to actually give you an edge when it comes to being called for an interview, that's hard to say. So some airlines might do that. Some airlines might well be really interested in getting you in as a technical pilot or something like that. Some airlines will not. Okay, they will look for you to make sure that you have all the paperwork as a pilot, and if you do, you're going to be in the same queue as everyone else. But knowledge is never heavy to bear. Okay, knowledge is always going to help you, so it's good. Have you ever been to Denmark? Yeah, I've been to Denmark plenty of times. What is your advice to deal with frustration in this career? I have logged 650 hours and I'm working as a flight instructor here in Argentina, but it's taking forever and we need 950 hours to work for an airline. Yeah, you have to keep your eye on the target. You have to keep your goal in mind. And you can't, something that a lot of people do in this life is, looking too much into tomorrow, not appreciating what you do. I guarantee you that when you reach your 950 hours and you get that first precious employment, you're going to look back at your time as a flight instructor and kind of reminisce and think, oh man, I did have a lot of fun. I flew with a lot of great people. And I did a lot of great stuff. Try to realize that you are doing, what you're doing now is your life, okay? It is not, your life is not what's going to happen in 2 years. It's what's happening right now. So make sure that you make the absolute best of what you're doing. Appreciate what you do and realize that what you are doing is what's carrying you towards that goal of becoming an airline pilot. I know that sounds corny, but it's actually true. Because if you sit every day and you wish that you were somewhere else, or wish, if I could just get those extra 300 hours, everything is going to get better. It just sucks. And you know how it is. If you sit and stare at the watch, for an hour feels like 2 years. If you're going to look at a clock for an hour, it's going to feel like 2 years, literally. But if you, in the meantime, sit and tweet on your phone, speak to people, or whatever, that hour is going to go like this. And it's the same thing with this. So just remember that. Amit Kapoor, thank you very much once again. So that didn't come with a question. So send that question in to me via Facebook, and I'll have a look at it tomorrow. I don't know. I'm not avoiding any questions, but I'm getting. Let's see how much questions I'm getting. I'm getting like 20 or 30 a minute here, so I will be missing some. If you have a question that you think I'm dodging, then use the super chat and I will answer it. Okay. Um, cool. I'm trying to scroll back to see what question it is you think that I'm dodging here, but basically all questions that has to do with medical conditions, I'm not dodging them. I'm just not answering them because I'm not an AME. I'm not a medical examiner. So my answers to your medically related questions is just going to be guesses. So much better to contact a doctor, a medical doctor, and get them to answer those questions for you. Right. So favorite city. Oh, I have so many favorite cities. Like now, right now, I love the city that I'm in. I love Girona. It's a fantastic, beautiful city. I recommend everyone to come here and visit it. But New York is great in itself. Seattle is really nice. What else? London has its charm as well. Stockholm in the summer with all the lakes and all the water. It's beautiful. Amid, Amir. Yeah, okay. So if you don't have any medically regulated questions, just send it in again, and I'll see if I can find it, and I'll try to answer it. Okay, I have failed one subject twice in the EASA ATPL. Would that affect my chances of getting into an airline? It might. Okay, it not necessarily, but I do know that some airlines are actually looking into your test results and how many retests that you've taken before they employ. But that is not everyone. Okay, there are several airlines out there who doesn't care as long as you have, gotten your tests done and it's all passed. Then they will only care about your test results when it comes to actually applying to that airline. But I'm saying that it might, because I know that some airlines, they actually do look into both theoretical test results and how many resits you've had. There's an entire generation of pilots like me that were in college flight. They're 02, 500 hours. Ooh, I was in that batch as well. Yeah, I finished my flight training immediately anyway, because I found one airline that didn't go bankrupt. But to get back in now should be not easy, but it should be much easier than back in 02, 03, because now the airlines all over the world, including the United States, but especially in Europe, are hiring like crazy. EasyJet just announced, if you have my Facebook feed, you would have seen that EasyJet just announced that they're going to hire 450 new pilots. Ryanair is hiring about 600 a year. So that is quickly depleting the number of pilots out there. So make sure that you have your licenses up to date, and then just start applying. If you are in the States and you need to get those 1,500 hours, well then you need to get yourself a job, maybe as a flight instructor. That is a good way of getting hours quickly, and then get yourself out into the industry. Getting back to college, I don't know if that's going to help. Yusuf Malik, please explain reverse thrust. Well, it's fairly easy actually. The reverse thrust on the 737 are used primarily to take heat off the brakes and also to help stopping distance in either wet or contaminated runways. Okay, on dry runways it actually has no difference on the stopping distance, but it does help with keeping some energy off the brakes, which cools it down. And the way that it's used is that in the 737 you have a very big bypass ratio, which means that the core engine is quite small, but you have a huge fan in the front that is producing most of the thrust. Now, we have reverser sleeves that when we select reversers on the runway, those sleeves goes in, and it, instead of the fan air going backwards, pushing the aircraft forward, is being reversed and pushed forward instead. So basically, you get thrust going forward of the aircraft. That's kind of slowing it down, and that's essentially what it is. You're turning the thrust vector forward, and that's reverse thrust. Jonas Borges, hi Mentor, I'm a big fan of your videos. Thank you very much. I have a question. What is what is in-flight reclearance? Have you ever used it? Yeah, like I said in the beginning of the video or of the live stream, Reclearances happens. You might get a reclearance already on the ground, in which case you have to evaluate whether or not you need a new flight plan. Or you might get a reclearance in the air because of something, and it's just a matter of getting either your high-level charts out and check out what new airways are involved, and calculate how this is going to impact your fuel, which you can do using your FMC. Or most likely it's just going to be a very small reclearance via a different waypoint that you didn't expect, but it happens very, very often. Mentor, please plan a meetup, maybe in Germany, Netherlands, or France. Yeah, I am thinking about that. I am in contact with some people as well. Maybe that will happen. I would love to meet up with you guys if there is an interest for it. So, stay tuned. I will definitely let you know through the app if you have it, and I will probably go out to my Facebook page as well and tell everyone when it's time for a meetup. So stay tuned. I have been shortlisted for a local airline selection process. Any tips? First of all, congratulations. Well done. Great. I'm getting more and more of these messages every day. No, I mean, tips is that you're going to have, you're going to do your best. Make sure that you're not too nervous, all right? Realize that you can do this. The reason you've been shortlisted is because they want you. So if you're going somewhere where you know that they're positive to you, and it's likely that they want you to succeed, you can kind of relax a little bit, and being relaxed is going to make you perform much, much better. Okay, make sure you get a good night's sleep before. I know it's harder than it sounds, but it is important. So don't sit up studying the whole night before. It's not going to help. Get a good night's sleep. Get a proper breakfast before you go, so that you have good sugar levels when you go for the test. And then realize, like I said, these people want you to succeed. Do your best. If you don't know the answer to a question, tell them that I'm actually going to have to look that up, if that's okay. I'm not sure about this one, but show them that you're a good person, that you're the person that they would like to work with, and then just do your best if it comes to a simulator assessment. And I wish you the absolute best of luck. Guys, that is going to be me for tonight. I think I have to thank you for your time. I have gotten some more ideas from this live stream, which I'm happy for. Continue sending in suggestions on new videos that you want me to make. I have a few videos lined up already. Unfortunately, I was planning on using a simulator to do some more technical videos, but that is booked up at the moment, so I'm waiting for a slot to get in and do these videos for you in there. But until then, there's plenty of other things that I can talk about, and I am planning to do so as well. So for now, like I said before, if you want to support the channel, go in and check out the Patreon page. Make sure that you have the Mentour Aviation app. It's completely free to download, guys. I'll send out all the notifications about everything that is up for the channel, and everything that's up in the chat, or everything when I do more videos and stuff like that. Everything is coming on the app, guys. So I want as many people as possible to use that. And why? Why do I do that? It is because the more people I have in there, the more people that are helping out by talking in the chat, by answering questions, by asking questions, the more vibrant the community becomes, and the more help you guys will get as well. So with those words, once again, have an absolutely fantastic weekend, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.